Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 27th, 2023 at approximately 4:22 p.m. PST. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same ones I personally put to use. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the ones I personally live by. So, before I get into things, couple of important factors. Number one, eternity, you're in with the gold. Adam, how you doing? You've come in right behind her with the silver. And Jeff thought we had more in there. But hey, what the heck? That being said, there's something I've got to tell people, but I'm going to wait until we've got a few more people in here beforehand. The reality of it is, I didn't actually, until yesterday, I didn't realize how important this whole thing was to me. That this whole site was. But since you guys are in, now, as you know, I work with little figurines and what have you. I gotta show you this. This was absolutely bizarre. Now, I'm all for including all aspects of life. Okay. I'm all for taking a look at, and making sure. Hey, Penny, how you doing? Welcome aboard there, Penny. Glad you could join us. Just to get a couple things cleared up for you specifically. Number one, if you have a question, even if it is not on whatever topic we're talking about at the time, put the question in, okay? But put it in all caps, if you would, please. It's kind of like sticking your hand up and waving and saying, hi, I've got a question. At that point, it's easier for me to find it. It's not called yelling for me. It's not called being rude or anything. It's simply, I'm starting to take things a little differently. But, well, that was different. I was not expecting that. I thought they were attached. But yeah, that's the easiest way to look at that. Well, see what happens now. I work with figures, okay? And that's not what today's topic is about, but we're a little bit early. Okay, I work with little figures for Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Now, as you can see, this one's got a broken arm, which is probably a good thing. Okay. This was the shield they were wearing, and you're not going to see that very well. Okay, that was the shield he was carrying. But here's the thing about it. When I got the figure, when I just picked up the figures, this is a cleric. If you don't know what that is, well, you'll figure it out in time. See, now they got a cleric for Dungeons and Dragons in a wheelchair. Now, I got nothing against people in wheelchairs. Okay, I know people that are in wheelchairs, and they're really great people. But, talk about a bizarre thing to set up. If you think about it, here we have a cleric with a mace in one hand and a shield in the other is what was supposed to be there, but it fell off. And she's in a wheelchair. Now, what's she going to do? She's only got 2 arms. So what's she going to do? Sit here and just say, hey, come over here, I want to beat on you? It doesn't work that well. Now, this one, on the other hand, we can work with. This, again, is a cleric or a spellcaster in a wheelchair. Okay. Shades of Xavier, anybody? Hey, Joe, how you doing? And Joe, you are in with the bronze. Yep, you're in with the bronze. Nope, my apologies. My sincere apologies here. We had Eternity in with the gold. Adam came in right behind her with the silver. And our newcomer, Penny, jumped in with the bronze. Joe, you have made it in an honorable mention. Now, like I was just saying here, we have here 4 Dungeons and Dragons. We've got a person in a wheelchair. Now, at least this guy has, this person can cast a spell. Okay. I'm not quite sure how good a wheelchair is going to work for adventuring, but what the heck. Hey, Joey, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I figured, okay, where do we go from here now? Yesterday, and I'll get back to this shortly, but yesterday we ran into a pretty serious little hiccup. Okay, not impressed. But it did show me yesterday just how important this little channel is to me. Now, I have always done my best to treat everybody equally. Okay, to treat everybody with equal respect. And I will tell you, I am Nathan. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Something, and I'll repeat this throughout the night because it has come to my attention very clearly that I'm going to have to get some moderators in here because things are now getting a little more hectic. I mean, in the last 3 days, we have jumped a staggering amount because we are now at 446 people. Absolute phenomenal surge. Now, when I started doing this, it was a lot of it had to do with the encouragement I got from the people and from you guys that came from Spaced Out Radio. Okay, so I am going to be looking at getting a few moderators in. And the reason for that is because clearly things are going to get real active, and you see what happens when they're moving too fast. I'm going to have a problem with it, so I will sort that out as we go along. What I'm going to be looking for from that end is people that quite frankly, I'll take volunteers first. Okay, because obviously I'm not putting somebody in there just going, oh, gee, I'd like, I see you're in there. I'll ask you, will you be a moderator? Okay. And the reason for that, and for my not just doing that, is I'm not entirely certain what all of it is. But something has come to my attention very clearly, and that is that the stability of this environment, the fact of keeping it safe, okay, for people from all walks of life, from whatever belief structure somebody has, you're more than welcome to it. What cannot be permitted to continue because it'll get right out of hand is what happened yesterday. Okay, with somebody putting so many things in back to back that nobody else can get a word in edgewise. Okay, this is, quite frankly, and you're going to love this one, this is a form of cyberbullying. And it was pointed out to me by somebody that it seemed to visibly upset me. No, not really. It ticked me right off. Okay. Now, my brother, years and years and years ago, built a virus scanner. Okay. And you're going to think it was a little bit overkill in all likelihood. But the virus scanner he built, he's passed away now. But the virus scanner he built, when a virus hit his computer, okay, his scanner would hunt that virus down, would hunt down the computer or computers that the virus was built on, and then barbecue their hard drive. The hard drive motherboard, and just take them out of the equation. Okay, now with what happened last night, had I had access to that kind of technology, you can bet, and knew how to use it, you can bet your bottom dollar I likely would have. Like I said, it did not just upset me, it ticked me right off. I am quite happy. This is going sideways on you. Okay. I was looking at the figures today because, of course, as you know, I write. Well, I look for different figures that can be representative. And this neat little one I just picked up is perfect for the primary protagonist, or for the primary antagonist in the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay, I may end up working on him a little today, but that's what he looks like. Okay, he's just absolutely spot on for what I was looking for. But no, the shenanigans that came in now, everybody in this room you may have your own, well, you will have your own belief structure. I've been very black and white about it, or at least as clear as I could be, that do I personally believe in God? Absolutely. Do I personally believe in Jesus? Absolutely. But I will tell you, I also personally believe that as the God I believe in created everything and everyone, if whatever you believe, okay, you're welcome to it. But this is a neutral zone. This is not a place to start telling people, oh, you have to believe what I believe, because I won't even tell you have to believe what I believe. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you point blank, if you've got a question or if I tell you something, don't just take my word for it. Turn around and go take a look, do your own research, see what adds up. Okay. Now, for me, yeah, I got a little hot under the collar, and I do not like the fact that I did that. Very disrespectful to you guys, very annoying to me. So, from that standpoint, first and foremost, and people that come in a little later, I'll end up saying this again, undoubtedly. Okay, by figuring the first couple of minutes, get that apology dealt with. No, some of you are going to look at it and go, no, you've got nothing to apologize for. Possibly not. In my eyes, for me, I lost focus way too badly. Okay. So, from that standpoint, and to the individual that sent me the personal email, to support me in that fashion, again, and they know who they are. Thank you so very much. Okay, I really do appreciate it. Unfortunately, I still get very wound up about certain things. This is one of the reasons why I walked out of the church in the first place. But in here, it is very much a question of you are absolutely entitled to your own belief. Okay, because the tools I talk about are universal. They can be used by anybody, any walk of life, any income bracket. Doesn't matter who you're attracted to, who you identify as, who you crawl into bed with, or who you vote for. Doesn't matter. Okay, I'm a firm believer. Treat everybody. You follow 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, now take a look at whatever guidelines you live by and compare them to those 3. And I do feel what you'll find is that your belief structure, all of those guidelines will fit inside the 3 I just listed. Okay, now to put this in more practical terms, okay, I had somebody come over to my house, to my actual physical house years ago. And the first thing he did when he walked through the door was the same thing this genius did just yesterday. Guy walked into my house and went, "This place is a dump." I looked at him. I never even missed a heartbeat. I looked at him and I said, "You don't like it. You know where the front door is." Okay. You don't have to agree with me by any functional stretch, because the Lord knows I look at the world from a very different angle. Okay, had I had the technical know-how as to what to do with him yesterday, it would have been that quick. The moment he said it, and from here on, as I figure things out, and this is where finding a number of you guys, I'm looking at it this way. 1 moderator, that's still way too much. But I do have a question for you, especially from those of you that have a YouTube channel of your own or other viable option. Okay, I'm thinking if I look at my list of subscribers, and right now I'm thinking if I get one moderator for every complete 100 I've got, I'm thinking that's a good place to start. But from your guys' standpoint, okay, because we are talking about trying to make sure that this is a safe and happy place for everybody possible. Now, I know I'm going to run into people that are idiots. That just goes with the territory. Okay. But from your guys' standpoint, I'll give you 3 options. 1 moderator per complete 100 subscribers, 1 per complete 50, or 1 per complete 200. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat room what you feel is the better number. Okay, I know I've got to get more than 1, but I do have 1. I've got 2 in there right now. Okay, well, not in the room right now, but I've already given 2 people moderator status. Now, do understand something very important. This is going to sound really backwards. It does not mean that they are of any more value or any more important from my standpoint than the rest of you. Okay, it really doesn't. And I know some people will look at that. Hey, Dogface, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, some of you may look at the promotion side of it. Where are we here? Nathan's just coming back. 1 in 50 if you have a number smaller than if you have a number smaller. I see 445 and only so many will be able to be here at the same all the time. I absolutely agree with you there. Now, I that not everybody will be in here. Okay. So now I gotta ask now if I put them in as moderator, and I'm just looking at this, and of course, important factor here, guys. Let us take a look at something really important. Well, it's all pretty much really important, but Nathan. Okay, guys, this is the individual that I'm referring to. This is Nathan here. This is his website, like his channel. Okay, and I'll tell you, I've been in his room a number of times. Absolutely, go take a look at his work. He's got some great ideas. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Now, I figure if I look at that, because obviously we don't need a whole pile of people, in one night. Everybody is not going to be required. But in my eyes, it's kind of like the idea. It's kind of like looking at a restaurant and going, well, we've got to have a way, X number of waitresses to run a restaurant, to work in the restaurant. Okay, but you don't need all of them on site at the same time. Now, on the plus side, the reality of it is, and I think I'm going to go with you there because Nathan's got his own channel. So if Nathan's saying, 1 every 50 is fine with a smaller number, right? Because all the moderators won't likely be in the room at the same time. Okay. And I have to, so now what I'm doing is a couple of very important little factors. Oh, what do we got here? Nathan's just saying mods don't have to be permanent. They can have part-timers or as needed. Oh, I see. Okay. In other words, when they come on, if we're running a little behind, picking, and get somebody to move into the position at least for that show. Understand the technology side of this, I am still very much learning. Okay. And the reality of it is, when we look at the world, if I sit back and go, no, it'll just go away, I'm going to have a problem. Now, rest assured, like I've said, I haven't set foot in a church in, Lord, when was the last time I set foot in a church? I guess when I got married back in the early 90s. Okay. But we didn't actually did we? Yeah, we did. I was going to say we didn't actually get married in church, but we actually did. Yeah. No, and I really appreciate that, Nathan. This is why I say I get so much support from you guys on the whole. That's what ticked me off. Not yesterday, but when we had that genius come in here and go, "Oh, there's so many trolls in here." The cross current that I see with you guys, helping each other, supporting each other, and quite frankly, the support I get from you is just absolutely phenomenal. But what I was looking at, again, the reason I put the title in the way I did, your future begins now. Okay. The way that happens is you take a look in the mirror and you go, what are you content with? Okay. What are you looking for? And if whatever you're looking for is not being accommodated, it's time for you to make a change. Now, absolutely, if you've got a question in any field, talk to me. I will be more than happy to answer any question, almost any question. Well, I guess any question. If you ask me a question I'm not going to give you an answer to, the answer will be, I'm not telling you. Okay. And that's just the reality of it. There are a few areas there that I will not go into. And unlike when I'm on Spaced Out Radio on the first Friday of every month from 9 to 11, unlike there, if somebody asks me a question here, there's nobody to back me up to say, oh, you shouldn't do that. Let's just cut that conversation off and turn it sideways. Okay. I've got a very big problem in a lot of ways. Or maybe it's not a problem. I don't know. But if somebody says something and I catch it, I'm likely going to respond. And the fact is, I know the people in this room, the massive majority, in all fairness, it was only just yesterday that we got our first real serious problem child. Okay. Is this going to stop me from encouraging you guys to talk to each other and help each other out? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, it's likely going to enhance the thing. So I'm looking at this going, there's got to be a way to change this world for the better, but it requires, obviously, putting a concrete line in and going, this is what I'm looking for. Okay, this is the way I desire my world to go. Now, I will tell you, I pulled away from the world, okay, realistically when I was still in kindergarten, but started doing it severely as I got older. And about a decade ago, I just shut everybody out and went, unless you're talking to me on the phone, you're not likely to run into me. Okay. So, on the phone, on the computer, I will tell you, when I'm not online, okay, contacting me directly if you desire to talk to me in one-on-one. I work with Skype, I work with Yahoo Messenger, and I have worked with LinkedIn. Okay, I'm not adding an extra program to my computer. Way too many problems. Okay, now Zoom, sometimes I can work. I don't actually run a Zoom room. Okay, because I don't understand it. Okay, and I know on my phone that I do work and that FaceTime works. Now, aside from that, I'm not looking at expanding my repertoire, but not for the time being anyway. I've got a computer that is ready to die. But you desire your future to begin. The first thing we have to do, okay, take a look at your own life, the way it is right now. All of those aspects. I appreciate that, Adam. I really do. That is something that I am striving. This is the first real major hiccup I ran into. But this is something that is very important to me. Okay, and apparently important to you. Is we have to have an open-minded dialogue. We cannot be talking to people and going, oh, you're a fool for believing that. Sorry, guys. I'd be a fool for telling you you were a fool for believing everything I say. Okay. Absolutely double check it, because the reality is my life, I don't have a lot of concrete proof for. Okay. I just don't have a lot of that ability. Primarily because most of mine is so whacked, it's just absolutely bizarre. My life is more like science fiction than anything else. And I will tell you, at some point, not too terribly far down the road, I've got a 12-ounce cup of coffee. Now, as you guys that have been here for a while know, I drink coffee like most people drink water. But I've only got about that much coffee left in my cup. This is not a good amount for another hour and a half. However, I did run my pot just before I started the show. Yeah, hey, Adam, I'll tell you, the support I get from you, I really appreciate that. But the fact of the matter is, your work has to come first. And one of the last things I want to personally find out is, I was listening to the show and I was trying to be a moderator, and dang it, I missed the corner. It makes for a great storyline. Okay, and of course, you being a rig runner, I gotta ask you, what rig do you like? What cab do you actually drive, or does that vary from time to time? And that's just, myself, I looked at being a rig runner, what I call a rig runner, a long haul trucker when I was younger. And then it dawned on me, well, I've got a bad leg and no sense of direction. Sure, I'd be on my own a lot, but I've got no mechanical aptitude. So here we go. Yeah, I've been looking for that. I used to have a 30 cup urn. But after 25 years of the thing running daily, okay, and I do mean running pretty much 24/7, because my dad had it for 15 before I got it. I was my dad ran it for 15 years, 24/7 pretty much. When he passed, I got it. Well, actually, before he passed. About 4 years before he passed, I got the urn. Right. And I ran it for 10 years solid. Yeah. Alan's just saying he runs a conventional bunk truck. I would love to have a cab over engine, though. In my case, I'm going to have to look that up, because you would love, where are we? This one here. This gives you an idea of what I thought of them. This book, okay, is post-apocalyptic, but one of the primary vehicles you run into is something something that goes by the name the Tarmac Terror. Okay. Matter of fact, I wonder if I can find it in a hurry. In case should call up the other one, it's easier. Then I can just hit search. But the Tarmac Terror is an international hauling a flatbed. It's an international cab hauling a 40-foot flatbed with 8 pintle mount 50 caliber machine guns on the back end, all with a shield. This thing it's got steel cleated tires, okay, or steel cleated wheels rather, and it is painted camouflage pattern mauve, purple, and pink. Okay, this thing is not designed for quiet work. Okay, so when you take a look at that, that's why they call it the Tarmac Terror. This vehicle, it does run throughout the series. Okay, starting with book 10, it will undoubtedly be in book 9. Okay, which is the Great Collapse itself, but that is like 8 years down the road, likely. Yeah, exactly, Robert. That was actually the whole idea. Was you hear this thing coming from a mile away, you either get out of the way or pray they're on your side. But this is just one of the vehicles that stands out really nicely. Okay, I do like the big rigs, which is why when I took a look at them, when I added the Tarmac Terror to it, what I did was went, okay, there's one rig. And then there was a movie years and years ago, and I'm dang certain that some of you my age recognize it. Funny little movie called Convoy. Okay. So what did I do? I built a group, and I am looking to build models for them, by the way. I built a group of truckers referred to as the Bully Brigade. Okay. It was. I just absolutely love that movie. Mind you, I used to watch all the trucking movies when I grew up. Yeah, Cowboy was a little bit of a wild card. Of course, in my case, I remember that chartreuse microbus that jumped in between them. But what I was doing when I started writing this, I desired it to be enjoyable for people. Yes, it's got a very complex storyline to it, but in my world, this chat room, I absolutely desire people to really. Yeah, you too, eh? I've been trying to find it. Actually, that's not true. I found Convoy on YouTube actually about 6 months ago, I think now. But those movies had a certain air about them. Now, of course, if you want something a little sillier, that's when you go and take a look at the at Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah, well, that's the funny thing there, Robert. I was just writing now the Tarmac Terror shows up in book 10, in The Birth of the Wolf Pack. Then I've got another vehicle that comes in called Ogre. Now, Ogre is a whole different ballgame. Okay. And then, of course, I just brought in, and what the heck was the guy's name? Trying to remember the character's name offhand. I know the actual driver is a chap. All I remember of his first name is Michael, but he runs what you would call a transformer truck. Okay, it's a complete working robot, right? But this is just some of the little things I've got going on. Thing is, in this room, everybody is entitled to their own view, absolutely. But obviously I cannot let it continue down the road of letting things just happen. Okay. That said, okay, if you're aiming at changing your future, when I said your future begins right now, today, it's because of this. Everything that's happened, including the last second, okay, once it's happened, it's written in concrete, there is no changing it. It's now time to look to where you're sitting at present and go, I'm moving forward. Okay. I am moving forward. I am becoming, I am taking responsibility for my life, and I am going to make a change. Now, I will tell you, there are very few people that know how to do everything. Matter of fact, I can't think of one. Well, unless we want to jump all the way back to that thing about God, but I'm referring to corporeals. Now, I ran into an interesting snag. This world, I made a comment to somebody just this morning, I think, that I find it very difficult to connect with this world because it's like I'm not from there. And don't get me wrong, I was born here. Okay. We are not talking about, not being from this planet. I know for an absolute certainty I'm from here. But I do feel a lot of the time like I'm from out of time. Now, since time travel does not work, okay, as far as coming back in time, no, I'm from here. The fact I don't think in the same fashion is bizarre. It almost feels that way sometimes, Robert, except I keep getting sent back by the same people. Robert's just going right planet, wrong timeline. And, but I keep getting sent back by the same people. It's like, you've got a job to do here. And I'll tell you, it has come very close on occasion to my folding out my tent and saying, scrap it, let the planet burn, and I'll pick up the pieces later because I'm going to be back here anyway. But it came to my attention, like I really did a lot of thinking about it this morning. Okay, about what happened yesterday, about how fast it upset me. I figured, I'm just not going to go down that road. I'm not going to let that destroy everything I've been working for. Is it tempting on occasion? Absolutely. And in case you didn't notice, much as I do my best to remain relaxed, it doesn't always work that way. Okay. I have no idea what my blood pressure did yesterday. I do know it wasn't a good thing. Now I'm curious because here's the thing. I packed it in. I actually packed it in. What time was it? Trying to avoid hurting myself here. Oh, where are we? Yeah, I packed it in last night about 11 o'clock. That worked out really well. I packed it in about 11 o'clock. And I was back up and I ended up waking up at 1:30. Okay, I just couldn't sleep that well because of it. Let me guess, Robert, that's your job. You can't hurt yourself, that's my job. I know that's what Wednesday told the kids when they were bullying her little brother. But no, I prefer not hurting myself. Doesn't always work out that way. But I came to the conclusion, if I don't rein things in, I'm going to create a bigger problem because the other thing that happens with me is when my energy spikes, this poor little computer I'm trying to work on will have a coronary itself. But I figure, okay, I'm going to have to rein things in here. Okay. And that said, I will be, like I said, I will be looking for, and Nathan suggested that Pat, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Nathan suggested that I take a look at the number of subscribers I've got and get one moderator per 50. Per 50 subscribers. Now, I've already got 2 in place. Okay. And, am I open to volunteers? As long as, obviously, volunteers are great. But for some bizarre reason, I do have to make sure I know who they are. I mean, somebody coming in and going, I'll be a moderator that I've never seen, okay, isn't likely to work that well. Simply because of the the that I do have a vision in my own head of how this whole thing has to go. Now, it started out when the ones of you from Spacedale Radio started suggesting it. Okay, or more to the point, started pushing for it. It started out as, okay, I'll see what I can do and see what happens. Nice to see you there, Chad. Glad you could make it. Hopefully your day's been going well. When I was first starting out, I got a lot of support from you guys, and that has not slowed down. I mean, for me, it's frankly stunning. I don't recall the proper words for how to actually say thank you. But that said, it went from there to going, okay, I'm really shocked about this, but I'm enjoying doing this. Okay. I'm enjoying putting these live feeds up and the interaction with you guys in spite of the challenges that I get. And let's face it took forever for me to get to a point where I could say, okay, I can do this on a regular basis. Quite frankly, it took me having the job I was working for closed down. Okay. So now what I'm looking at is the other side of it. How do I take this and turn it into a solid income where I can replace my missing income before I get hung out to dry? So I've gone into Facebook now. Okay. I fired virtually everybody that I was supposed to be getting help from. And now I'm dealing with my own marketing. Okay, you desire your world to change. First thing you got to come to the conclusion of is what are you content with? What are you not content with? Now, obviously, if you're content with something, stick with it. Now, this neat little book here. Okay, and again, if you go to my website, at rkeithandrews.com, you can find all of these, and every one of them is in every one of the books that is listed on that site is in stock. Okay, this one, you'll notice it's huge, right? This is the backbone of how I turned my life around. And the whole reality behind it is this. Take a look at the way your world is going. Okay. Take a look at the way your world is going. And I should finish that other thought. So it started off that way. Okay. It started off with me going, hey, I'm surprisingly enjoying this. And then the numbers started to grow and I got thinking, people will sit and they will watch somebody stand in front of them, pound on the pulpit and say, the world's going to end, you're going to suffer, God's going to strike you down except for a specific number of people. And you're all going to suffer immensely for all eternity. There are literally billions of people that listen to this. There are millions of people that sit and listen and watch people play video games. Now, I've got no problem with any of it. Go right ahead. Wherever you find comfort, that's where to go. But I'm telling you, if you're listening to somebody telling you constantly, you're miserable, you're useless, you'll never live up to God's expectations, and though you should worship him, you might want to fear him because the guy is absolutely vindictive. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it very hard to look up to people like that. My father I looked up to whenever I was sitting down because he wasn't that tall. But I never feared him. I know there were a lot of people that did. My dad had a really neat bad habit. Once it was a monthly thing for him. At least once a month, because he was in the military. And at least once a month, he turned around and beat the living stuffing out of his CO. And that was usually because the CO swore in front of a woman. Not my dad's woman, just any woman at all. And it could be another airman. The CO would open his mouth, my father would fill it with his knuckles. Why Dad never got dishonorably discharged or what have you, I don't know. We never, in 12 years, we never came up for transfer. Which I'm sure if you know the military at all, that's bizarre. Now we have a vote in here. Chad goes, I vote Nathan for moderator number 1. And that being said, I appreciate that, Chad. The reality is, if Nathan desires it, I will absolutely put him in. I do look at it this way going, people can vote, people can say, this is what I'd like to see. And if that person accepts, then absolutely. Obviously, if I'm going to say I'm willing to do it, then absolutely, that's where it stands. But you take a look at the way things went. Yeah, I kind of figured, Nathan, you've got a lifestyle that I think you've got your foot all the way on the pedal and, got it kicked into overdrive to get where you're going. So, I mean, from that standpoint, it really does boil down to, I looked at it and went, I'm enjoying this. It's starting to grow. And aside from having that one idea, maybe breaking 1,000 by the end of the year and making a little bit of income would have come in. But recently it's come to my attention. It was really solidified in all fairness because of yesterday. And by the way, again, thanks so much, guys, for your support when that happened. Okay, I just don't recall the words to actually put that in proper perspective for how much it really meant. You know, hey, how we doing there, world? Glad you could join us. You've been rather busy on the air lately, haven't you? And where are we? Now I'm behind a couple here. I did put them at the beginning, but where are we here? Chad, where are you, Chad? There. And this is Chad's channel. And again, drop in, take a look what he's got to say. He's got some really neat ideas that he works with. Drop in, take a look at it. If you like what he's saying, give him a thumbs up. If you're really happy with it, absolutely subscribe to the channel. Or for that matter, even if you're just bored. I'm sure that Chad is not going to complain if you go, well, I was bored, so I figured I'd subscribe and listen in. Just do me a favor, guys. Karmic law is very black and white. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay. Now, I don't get around a lot to watch various movies, various videos. But let me find it here. Go to there, and we track down world. Here we have world. Now, I've looked at a number of videos that people have asked me to look at. Now, understanding I am not a video analyst. Okay. Now, World Bigfoot here, quite frankly, as near as I can figure by watching the videos and listening to the things he talks about, it's either a case that he himself is a video analyst or somebody that he's connected to certainly is. Okay. I was just looking at that. It just wasn't reading right. But I got to the point the other day, and like I said, it was really solidified yesterday. Okay. Yes, target 1,000 by the end of the year. That is where I'm targeting. However, I finally came to the conclusion that this idea of getting people to really, truly get along, that's what I've got to focus on. That's what I keep getting told I came here to do, was to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But it is going to take effort. Okay. So I figure I know what I'm working on. When I'm not here, I'm usually writing. Okay. So that's just the way that goes. I don't doubt that at all there in their world. Yeah, he's just confirmed he's got several video analysts working with me. And he says it helps a lot. I have no doubt. I can take a look at a video and I can tell you, yes, that looks like what I know of. But there is no way I'm going to be able to look at it and go, oh, there's a color change here that shouldn't be there. So there's a marker for cut and paste. I cannot do that. Okay. I can absolutely fry a computer when I'm looking at it. And this is one of the things that I have to keep in mind. But I came to the conclusion that, yes, I'm still targeting 1,000 before the end of this year. But, I've been with Dave now for, I've been with Dave on Spaced Out Radio there I'm in my 8th year now. And unless I up and drop dead, I'm not planning on ending it anytime soon. In spite of some of the hiccups, I'm guessing those are growing pains. Okay. Lord knows I went through that a long time ago. Absolutely there, Adam. You just make sure you stay safe while you're doing that. The reality is, in my opinion, family comes first. And this is why I said, with my son in the other room, if he calls, I will walk out of the office. I'll go, look, I got to deal with this because family for me is priority number one. Okay. Then work, then everything else. Okay. Now, work is anything that either directly, to me, is anything that either directly affects your income or preps you for it, which many times is your education. Okay. But if you desire your world to try to change for the better, figure out what you're not content with. And that's usually easier than figuring out what you are happy with. This whole idea that you've got to plan your life out ahead of time, frankly, doesn't work well. I've been told by so many people, you gotta have a life plan by the time you're 20. Well, if that's the case, with over 100,000 clients under my belt, you gotta wonder if that is in truth the case, that you've gotta have it done by 20. Then why is the massive majority of people I deal with that finally figure out their life, they're in their late 40s to early 50s? Okay. In my case, I'm 59. And I finally went, I've got 30 books I'm in the process of writing, and I've got a YouTube channel. Now, that being said, I also have a relationship that I do desire to turn into a marriage one day. Okay. And I've already told her that. Okay. Plus, of course, I've got this issue of family and your normal run-of-the-mill, everyday sort of thing you have to do. Okay. But I have decided that getting the 30 books printed before I drop dead is a very important factor. Okay. Getting this channel to grow beyond anything close to what I've got right now is something I would like to see happen. But the only way I can do that is if I focus on making certain that it stays safe for everybody. Okay. Because the reality is, I'm not interested in permitting people to bully each other. And I do keep an eye on it, but take a look at where your life is. Now, in my case, what did I do with it? I'm running out of coffee. This is almost a travesty. That sounds really bad. No, I'm not actually addicted to coffee. I just like the flavor of it better than I like the flavor of water. I didn't get half the stuff I was supposed to today, but that was what I was trying to figure out. I might just well work on that while I'm at it. What do we got here? Well, it's funny because, I appreciate that there, Nathan. I remember being pulled up, and I actually took a friend with me, as it were. Okay, which was a real shock to him because he hadn't had the experience and really wanted it. And for whatever reason, they took a look at his qualifications and went, yeah, bring him along. He talked about it for months. Sadly, I think he's passed away at this point. I'm hoping not. But I got called up because the Sazosians were having a problem. Now, on Earth, I am very much a pacifist. Okay, that's just the way it is. Okay, this does not mean I have a problem with the issue of fighting in certain cases. Like I've always had a lot of respect for the people that join the military. Okay, that join the military to protect their families, protect their community, protect their country. I've got a lot of respect for that. I've got a lot of questions around the directions they have to follow sometimes. I will do that there, Nathan. In all fairness, I've had it with all the people that have asked me, and rest assured, there's been a staggering number. Okay, with all the people that have asked me, I've had one that went up, and it was it was confirmed as in he went through it. We both went through it. I knew what I went through. We ended up both talking to a mutual friend at separate times ago. This is what we went through, and thereby got the confirmation that, yeah, he was up there at the same time I was. Okay. But it was funny because when I went up there, they had a couple of ships caught in a black hole. right? And they could not. They were having a problem because, well, as they put it was a shame because they were going to lose 2 really good crews. I said, well, go and get them. Oh, we can't do that. I literally did the worst thing you could do, socially speaking. I called the patriarch and the matriarch of the Strazazian Empire in their throne room. I turned around and called them cowards. Okay. Now, this is not a diplomatically good approach. Matter of fact, it's downright suicidal in many cultures. But I didn't think about it. It was a question. That's what I felt, so that's what came out of my mouth. Okay. And no, I don't seem to have a filter. One day I'll look into getting one. I did finally get a filter. Of course, my one for my coffee burned and it was worn out, so I had to replace it. And I'll tell you, there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than coffee without a filter. This is just a bad setup. Where are we here? Personal. Don't think that's what I'm looking for. Nope. So it's gotta be under here. I keep forgetting where I actually stuck this thing. IB, there we are. Yep, that's it. No, that's the chapters and what I have. That is not the list I'm looking for. I was thinking it was the other one. Oh well. I had a list of topics here, right, that I'm going to be looking at. Hey Beachy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You take a look at where your world is. You desire it to change. You can get all the support, all the guidance you'd like. But you're the one going to have to do the work in the first place. Okay. Nathan he just said, I asked Sabrina, one of my guides. She likes you, but it's weird. Still getting to know her. So still understanding her responses. Yeah, trying to understand your guides can be a royal pain in the neck. All in all, I've never seen myself as anything really special, anything over and above. And I had a real problem with it for a while. But I was talking to one chap I know. I said, the last thing I'm interested in is I really have no interest in being on a pedestal. And this guy turns around and he goes, wait a minute. If people are going to put you on a pedestal, that's where they're going to put you. The key is never see yourself as being on one. Okay. And I never have. Because from my standpoint, well, maybe I'm afraid of heights. I don't know. I definitely know I don't like crowds too terribly much. But that's because I'm a full-blown empath. As in, I physically pick up what people feel. And rest assured, when that happens, not always an enjoyable thing. Am I missing anything here? I'm just looking back up through the chat room here. I spend most of my time at home. If I'm going to leave the house, I leave it early in the morning so I don't have to deal with the crowds. Yeah, it's a toss up there. Right now, Nathan, and this is not. Do understand? I'm quite content, as it were. I'm looking into the whole issue. I've got the thing set up for taking a look at Buy Me a Coffee again. Hey, Eris, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I am looking into getting Buy Me a Coffee set up and figuring that out. To be doing that within the next couple of days here. Okay. I'm just fighting with technology to figure it out. But the reality is, I'm down to about 4, maybe 5 months before I'm completely out of money. Okay. Because EI, in its wisdom, turned me down. Said after 22 years of working for the same company for, full time, my former boss, he filled out the ROE wrong. And EI turned me down, so you don't have it. you don't qualify. So I got to call them back tomorrow. And because they were supposed to contact me by the 17th. Well, they haven't. So giving them a little extra time for, for postal service and what have you. But yeah, most of the time, if I have to, even if I have to leave the house, most of the time I throw a shield up. I'll tell you, the first time I found out about a shield, I had no idea what they were referring to. In answer to your question there, Aaron, yesterday we had somebody come in that I could not get rid of. Okay. He was plugging the chat room with all this stuff about we were doing the devil's work, etc., etc. And yeah, it set me off. A shield there, Beachy, is if you picture yourself, what it does is it stops the overload of the energy around you from getting to you. And all you have to do in your mind's eye, and you can call this in the imagination if you'd like, okay, in your mind's eye, surround yourself with a bubble of white light, okay, and now that bubble will protect you from the ambient negative energy that is here just because you happen to be in a corporeal form. Okay. Surround yourself with that bubble of white light. That'll protect you from that. Then you surround that bubble with mirrors facing away from you. Okay, so it looks like you're looking out through a one-way mirror. That will reflect back the negative energy that other people generate. Okay, it'll bounce it right back to them. Then you run real thick, healthy roots right from the soles of your feet, straight to the core of the earth. In this way, you can bleed off the negative energy you personally generate. Things like self-doubt, self-recrimination, self-reprisal. Okay, it'll bleed that negative off so you can continue moving forward with a functional life. Yeah, Nathan's just saying, or you can do a few of those. Well, the only reason I don't do the real short ones there, Nathan, is because at this point it takes me about a half an hour to get them set up. Okay, and spending half an hour to get them set up to only be there for 5 minutes doesn't work well. It's very much like being grounded there, Beachy. Basically, what it boils down to is you're grounding and protecting yourself at one shot. Okay. And the other thing you can do if you're feeling overloaded, okay, if you're feeling overloaded, and you can do this anywhere, okay, it doesn't look abnormal at all. So, it's great if you like creating a stir, but anytime you're feeling a little overloaded, okay, never mind pretending. We'll take this. Now, pretending this sits normally on the ground, okay? Like the arm of a chair, a wall, the floor itself, whatever. Put your hand on, doesn't matter whether it's your right hand or your left one. Put it palm down on the solid surface that normally sits on the ground. You visualize the excess energy coming out of the palm of your hand, much like water coming out of a faucet. Let it go into this heavy object and let it dissipate. Now, what that does is it bleeds off the excess energy. If you're starting to feel anxious, works like a charm. Eventually, you'll get to the point that I did. Now, bear in mind, I've been doing this for 59 years. So I figured out the hard way. I figured if I can tap somebody into this earlier, so you don't have to take that much time figuring it out. Eventually, what I learned was I can do exactly that same thing while I'm walking. Because, my feet normally sit on the ground. I'm thinking most of you guys have the same problem. Yeah, we are definitely going to have to talk about that. Nathan's just saying, also keywords on the videos and YouTube, or YouTube and or Twitter. These are things I'm presuming you're referring to the hashtag thingies. Excellent nightmare. That's not often you get to come in here and say, hey, everything's working well. This is a good day for you. And for that matter, good day for us. So thanks so much for joining us. But these are things that you can do to bleed off that excess energy. The other thing to remember is you got clutter around your place. Clearing that clutter out of the way will help an immense amount in making certain that you get back on, that you stay on track. Because when you get rid of the clutter, the energy flies so much more readily. Okay. As you get rid of clutter, the excess, and you start with your hallways, okay? Because the hallways, you remove the stuff off the floor so you don't have to trip over it, right? And it will make the energy run more smoothly. Your own get up and go will climb. It'll help with getting rid of the depression, that sort of thing, if you're fighting with it. See, I don't fight with depression anymore. I just gave in and said, scrap it, I'll be depressed. It's kind of like, I used to procrastinate. Now I just don't bother doing it at all, which is really not the way I operate. Oh, those go up front. But how many of you out there have managed to pick even one goal to complete before the end of the year? Okay. Now, let me just call something up here. That one. I am working on page 111. Yeah, just about down to the bottom 111 here. The Return to Paradise, the next book of the Yldrbac Chronicles that's coming out. Okay, I'm aiming at 400 pages. Right now, there are 306. So I've still got a lot of work to do. It was supposed to be out at the beginning of this year, but due to major depression issues, like I said, I am not perfect by any functional sense. But I am working to eliminate the things that are causing me a problem. Unfortunately, when you're reclusive, a problem can be as simple as too many people in the room. So I solved that problem. I worked it out. I stay in my office. Now understand, my apartment is about 1,000 square feet. I spend probably 80% of my time in 1/10 of it in this room. Okay. Because, well, frankly, I don't like the extra room. The extra space. I've got it, and it's a good thing I do in a lot of ways. But when you look at where your life and where things are going right now. Yeah. Oh, okay. Nathan goes, I made a small for fun commercial for Alien Girl. That'd be great. I appreciate that, Nathan. I haven't actually had a chance to tap in. That's Alien Girl 111. That, I presume, is on YouTube there, Nathan? I know I'll find out when you email it to me, but I'm just thinking we might as well give a shout out to her. I know from the way you talk about her, she's got to be a real decent laugh. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people that have asked me, when are you going to bring somebody in? When I get a computer that'll actually handle it. Right now, the fact the computer is working is a real bonus. That's the, hey Bones, how you doing? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We were actually just talking about that today. Not about the intro, but about the where are we? Where are we here? Yeah, about. Yeah, oh yeah, Joe, you really are. And you've got some of those wonderful little problems of way too many dead people around you. And when you're an empath, many empaths, part of the problem, and I know you know this one, Joe, that many empaths, if you're walking near a gravesite, you may not realize it, but you're probably picking up on half the dead people there. Not a problem there, Bones. You make it when you can. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate the support. You know, the reality is, I got asked one day if by somebody if they minded if they just listened in and didn't come into the chat room, and I'm looking at it going like, much as I appreciate the request, the question, I cannot see why anybody would turn around and go, no, don't just listen in. I want your full attention or none of it. No, I'm just hoping that some of what I tell people makes a bit of a positive difference so you can look at the world in a slightly different fashion in order to get yourself picked up to move forward. I really, I never was one for stepping into the spotlight. Even when I was working for a small theater company on the island, okay, I had the opportunity to go on stage. I was on stage in grade 12, but when I was working for this small theater company, I chose to work in the back on sets. Ended up becoming, quite by accident, the set director for this company. Just making sure everything was going properly. I didn't design the sets. I just, or more to the point, I didn't build them. Okay, rest assured, you don't want me swinging a hammer anywhere near you. Odds are you're going to get hurt and the nail's still going to be sitting on the ground. Okay, and no, that's not intended as a threat. It's intended to tell you my aim is pathetic. I'm working on it, but it's one of those things you don't really desire to be. Honestly, Bones, I do agree with you there. And now here's an odd idea, and I'm just going to put it out there. Okay, I've only got so much I can work with, but I was supposed to do that today. Tomorrow I gotta be out and about, so I'll do it then. The idea of taking down taking a book down to the library and getting them to post it, to put it on the shelf, quite frankly, is an excellent idea. A friend of mine has agreed. He's coming out in the summer, going to pick up a number of books and get them down to the bookstores in his part of the world, which is out in Saskatchewan. Because what I'm finding, I hired a bunch of people to do marketing for me that claimed they could do it. I'm telling you, talk about a waste of almost $10,000. Okay, just an absolute blatant waste of it. The local printer I've got right now is a little expensive, and absolutely the distribution cost is a bit of a nightmare. But I'm starting to look at these other options, and one thing that you mentioned there, I think it was Bones. Yeah. You mentioned getting into the library in your area. I've got to ask where your area is, just because I'm curious. Because the idea, if I can find people that are willing to get them into their local areas, because my traveling, well, number one, I don't travel well. I really don't. This is why I tell people I'm quite willing to go on to somebody's show and talk to them, but that's all done remote, and it cuts down on my stress level a staggering amount. But I'm now starting to look at the libraries, at the different bookstores, see where I can actually get them physically in on a commission base, as in I get paid once they do. Now, of course, in a library, I don't get paid for them. I just simply put them in there, and then people hopefully turn around and order when they find them. Okay. And, the idea is that sooner or later, I'll end up making and preferably sooner, by the way. But this is just one of those things I'm doing to do exactly what I'm talking about taking your. I hate to be the one to tell you this. This is the sad reality of my life. I have no idea where the 33rd parallel is, but I appreciate that. I drove. For those of you that know the Okanagan, I used to drive from Kelowna to the airport in Penticton. Okay, Now, if you know the area, if you know the Penticton area in BC, you'll know that's not a complicated drive. Okay. Well, it took me 6 trips down there to even remotely remember where the thing was. And, I remember going to drive down there on my own one day. And I told my dad, I phoned him up. I said, well, Dad, my vaunted sense of direction has struck again. He goes, oh, so did you at least park near a landmark this time? Because for me, that's just plain normal. Getting lost, that goes hand in hand with leaving the house. Okay. Which is terrible when you think about it. But no, from my standpoint, getting them down there. Hey, Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Things have gotten really bizarre and they're starting to move in a hurry, which is why right now, where am I? Well, I know where I am. Right now, I'm working on, I got the first batch. The next 5 out, I've only got like 10 pictures left to get done for Races of the World's the second print. Okay. And I've only got 10 pictures left on it. So we've got another month probably, month and a half at the most. I should have all of them. And this has already been confirmed with my artist. You see him in here once in a while. And I figure, this is what's called business for him. If you ever see Chris H in here again, Chris H is actually the artist I've been getting to do the Races of the World's pictures. Yeah, it was just absolutely bizarre. I nearly had a coronary yesterday. And then we're talking about one in a good sense, if you will. Unfortunately, we had an absolute problem at the same time. But the support I got from you guys was absolutely remarkable. Now, what am I looking at here? Okay, now, don't go anywhere. I just can't get to my coffee if I don't go someplace. So I will be right back, guys. My boy. There's Jimmy. Hopefully he does get the thing. Wow. Make a good impression. When you first came back, make a good impression. Okay, priorities accommodated. It's a good thing I'm not addicted to this stuff. Can you picture the problem I'd have if I were addicted to coffee? Without the addiction, I'm going through 30 to 40 cups a day. Fairness, coronaries are painful, but I'm not about to have another one. Or no, more to the point, tried a stroke. That was no fun. Let's not do that again. But yeah, and this will give you an idea. Now, do understand something very important. I'm talking about reclaiming power over your own life and making your future what you desire now. So I got this really neat letter in the mail today. And I'm looking at it going, no, but thanks for the offer. Okay. Turns out the doctor thinks I'm going to come in and actually get a colonoscopy done voluntarily. I'm feeling fine. I figure they can figure it out later. I already told my number one son, or my number two son, because he lives with me. I already told him, I said, look, I just got this letter and I don't care. I'm just not going to it. Oh, come on. I had one the other day. Coronaries they're painful, but they're relatively easy and relatively, run of the mill for me. Usually. But, I got a kick out of it. My eldest son, a number of years ago, he's sitting there on the couch beside me. And he looks at me and he says, because I was having trouble breathing. And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, you're not dying. I'm going out. That's how common it is for me. But what I'm looking at, is I'm looking at where, that was an interesting piece of information that I found out the other day. Did I actually remember to write it down? Of course not. Not in there, so where is it? Must be here. Nope, not that. Keep pulling that out of the way. This one. Somewhere around the 16th of my month. Yep, yeah, about the 16th. Just a month ago. Okay. Here's a useless piece of information for you guys. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, there, Bones. There are ways to get around that, but we'll figure that one out. A month ago, literally on the 16th of on the 16th of January, so I guess a month and a half ago, 16th of January, I had 300, I think it was 347. Looked at it and promptly forgot. By the way, I've got a memory kind of like a sieve. Hey, don't do that. Oh, it's because I left it out. Told you I got a memory like a sieve. Yeah. A month and a half ago, I was sitting at 347. Here we are a month later at 446. One more, and we're 100 more than we had last month. Now, bear in mind, my goal as far as numbers go is strictly because of the fact that YouTube apparently starts paying you a little bit, and I'm not expecting millions. Okay, I see these guys with millions of followers, and it just stuns me. I remember years ago, there was a television evangelist. I kid you not. He gets on TV and he goes, he's pounding on the pulpit and saying all this stuff. And he goes, God has said, if I don't have $8 million in the bank, in my pocket by Friday, he's calling me home. I need help. Send me money. Now, I got no problem with somebody going, I require help, send me money. Lord knows I have never turned money down from anybody. Okay, as long as there was no strings attached. Right. But he goes, give me, I need $8 million before Friday. Now, this was on either a Monday, this was on the Sunday. Okay. And I don't mind people asking, but it just absolutely blew me away that somebody claiming God was going to pull him home if he didn't have physical money in his hand. God doesn't care if you've got money. At least not the one I believe in. God cares whether you treat people properly. But he ain't going to do anything about it if you don't. He just set all sorts of safeguards up. Okay. So, I mean, from my standpoint, this is what set it off. Because this evangelist used to do this and people bought it hook, line, and sinker. He ended up with something like a $30 million pocketbook in less than a week. Now, am I going to turn that down? If somebody sends me that kind of money? Absolutely not. But understand, I require to keep my house over my head. $2,500 a month will keep me quite comfortably in this apartment. With my utilities paid, enough food to get by on, and all of the normal things. Can you picture what I'm going to do if I end up with $1 million? It's like, am I going to move to some sort of a mansion or some sort of a, Taj Mahal sized building? Or am I going to build and buy myself a luxury lot? I don't travel. Okay. Can you really see me doing this sort of thing? Now, that may be your gig. Okay. That might be how you visualize or how you envision success is by the amount of toys you've got. Okay. In my eyes, that's not what I see as success. But that's for me personally. Okay. Now, I'll tell you, when I first put this one together, okay, and I ended up actually, this particular book that I'm showing you is actually slightly different than the other one that I've got. Okay, because it turns out when I changed the ISBN number on it, or when I changed the word from yourself to yourself, ISBN Canada needed a second ISBN number. So I put one in. Okay. But when I did that and people started looking at it going, that's helping, to me, that was success. Okay. Getting my first two books, the first two books of the novel that I started writing the manuscript for, well, I wrote the outline when I was 15. Okay. Getting it into print, for me, that was success. Now, you may find success either at running a household perfectly well, a small mom and pop grocery store, or maybe you're into and maybe you're looking for an international business. Okay. Excellent. You just make sure you keep your eye more on the road than you do on the radio. I mean, I love that you're listening in there, Adam. Okay, because Adam's just said, "Alrighty, Turnpike is built, and I'm on my way to Edmonton." Good thought, Bones. Yeah, if you walk through the front door, like I consider success to start with. If I'm not pushing daisies when I wake up in the morning, I'm ahead of the game. I know when I was 5 and mom and dad didn't know how to deal with it, I got that all straightened out when they were dying. But at 5 years old, I ended up dead and shipped to the morgue. It confused me, so I left. They diagnosed me dead. I didn't agree. I walked out. Doctor told me I had to stay in the hospital for, because I had a major coronary where my skin was about the same color as my hair, which is a really neat fashion statement if you're trying to startle people, right? They said, "Oh, you're going to be in here for 6 to 8 weeks minimum." I went, "No, not going to happen." I walked out 24 hours later. Actually, in all fairness, I went in there at probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon because I went in by ambulance. It was a nice color, but they were really edgy about it. But the following morning at 10 o'clock, I told them I'm going home. But we've got tests we need to run. No problem. You got till 1 because I'm going home. Right. As it was, they let me go because, well, I wasn't going to stay anyway. Like I told them, I'm not in handcuffs. I'm not staying. And the reality is, for all the fact that I can put my foot in my mouth all the way to my hip, okay, and then just try and figure out how to get the other one in, that's the real challenge. But I can do that without any problem at all. I had a real jump there. I never noticed that correlation there, Bones. But I had a real jump on it. I started going gray when I was 16, which might give you an idea of the life I had to start with. But I mean, it was kind of a neat little run. Yeah, I just won't go near the hospital. See, the biggest problem there, Christine, is I suffer from PTSD, triggered by the hospital. As a matter of fact, when I had that heart attack, now bear in mind, from the elevator to the front door is only about 50 yards. Okay. And with 7 people trying to help keep me focused, it took us 45 minutes to get from the elevator out the front door. And then another half hour to be able to think straight. See, I did the lab rat routine. Well, you suffer from that too, eh? Bones has just said regarding this PTSD thing, I think. It's either about the PTSD or the fact she'd like me to get a follow-up. See, I found out the hard way that doctors, when it comes to me, well, it was funny, and they want me to get my blood test and my blood pressure checked in the hospital. That's why I quit going to the doctor altogether. It's like, no, I've got to get your blood test or your blood pressure checked in the hospital. because we think it's high. I looked at her, I went, you put me on the property, my blood pressure is high. So, no, that's not happening. And I just told my kid, my youngest today, yeah, they want me to go in for a colonoscopy, and they can keep wanting. Nice thing about them wanting it is when you say, I want something, whatever it is, you're automatically setting up a barrier and a sense of lack around it. So the fact they want me to go in is absolutely fantastic because they're going to get exactly what they're asking for, a lack of my going in. I do, however, Christine, I have a blood pressure machine at home that I do keep very close tabs on it. Between the blood pressure machine and keeping an eye on the way I'm feeling, I am very aware of what my health is looking like. The way I figure it is, yeah, I could drop dead again. Like I told my other half, because she keeps bringing up the issue. It's taking her too long to get across the border because she's down in the States. Well, that could be a possibility there, Nathan. But no, I told her when I came out after the heart attack, my doctor asked me, she goes, what did they give you any medications? I says, yeah, here's the list. And she reads through them and she goes, okay, so this is a standard list, but what of this are you actually going to take? I looked at her and I says, well, I'll take the baby aspirin when I require it. And other than that, the answer is no. She goes, and I'm not even going to bother with a prescription. Because she already knows I'm just not going to do what she says anyway. It's not just, oh, you said I won't do it. It's a question, you said it doesn't make sense, I'm not going there. I'm very well aware. Hey, world, you're back. Or you were here all along and just occupied. But no, when you desire your life to change, no matter who tells you what, and I live by this idea. When your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you will achieve it. Okay. And it doesn't matter who you are. If a doctor says, oh, you got to quit smoking because you'll get cancer. Well, two problems. One, very few people will listen to the doctor that says you got to quit smoking. They'll carry on doing it anyway. Two, they found cancer in dinosaur bones. Now, with this in mind, everybody is born with cancer. You've all got it. Okay. The problem is if your stress level gets too high, you get around too much toxicity, which can be just negative people. The cancer goes into overdrive and attacks everything. Yeah, that's what I do, Christine. I've got a couple of bottles at home, just in case. Okay. Do I take them every day? No. I used to take them for a walk with me and then figured they didn't need to get out of the house any more than I did, so I left them at home. Oh, my first thought when I pieced it all together, I remember coming down the birth canal. Okay. I came from, that warm, nice little subdued place, real cozy, squeezed down that real tiny channel. I'll tell you, that's no fun. For people that tell you birth is a wonderful experience, they don't remember. Okay. Yeah. That's the other side there. And I'll get to that in a second, world. So, of course, when I come out into the freezing cold atmosphere around me, there's way too much space. I can't feel anything. I'm being hung upside down. Somebody's beating the living stuffing out of me and poking things in my nose and in my ears. Right. Meanwhile, mom and dad are literally recoiling. Okay, bear in mind, I was born mottled green and black. Okay, So doctors, once they poked and prodded me and smacked me around, they put me in an incubator. Well, I'll tell you, you go from dark to bright, freaking steaming hot light. Yeah, that nearly came out wrong. And then they put me in the incubator, and I'm like, okay. And that's a really hard thing to lay you on after you've been inside utero for that long. So they put me in this incubator, and I went, I'm done. And I left my body. First rule of thumb, never astral travel while you're attached to a life monitor. Okay, because I didn't have any interest in going back, so I didn't even leave a silver umbilical cord. And I booked. It's like I'm gone. Well, I ran into the council at 12, right then and there. And they're like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going home. Well, you can't. You signed a contract. You've got this big job to do. I looked at him and I said, look, I did not sign up for that abuse. I'm leaving. Well, long and the short of it was, I didn't win. I'm here. Okay. But, so my first thought was, being here long enough, going home. I'm done. Okay. Now, I have made, without actually being suicidal, I have made, well, before I was 10, including that one, I'd made 4 runs at the finish line. I was clinically dead 4 times before I hit 10 years old. 5 confirmed sins. And the 6th one that I'm not entirely certain of. I'm just looking at this. And obviously this had to do with cancer. I said, everybody's born with cancer. And the world comes back and says, or dinosaurs were chain smokers, which is cute. The butterfly effect, as I understand it, Joe, it refers to going back in time, really. You change something, it has an echo effect. But basically what it boils down to is everything you do, whether it is a thought, a word, or a deed, it doesn't matter. And bear in mind, the thought has to come before the other two anyway. When you turn around and do something, it's going to have an effect. They call it the butterfly effect. Lord knows why. I'm guessing because of the pattern of the aura. It's more accurately, in my opinion, called the echo effect. The second you do something, the second you do anything, it's going to have an immediate impact on everything around you. Okay. Ultimately, bones, everybody's is. But understand, this is where the church actually got it right. Okay. The human body was constructed on Earth. Okay. It was constructed from the dirt. And the soul does enter the body through the mouth. Okay. Where they get it screwed up is when it occurs. Because the soul, it gets a satellite connection, if you will, a remote control, while in utero, usually inside the first trimester. But the soul doesn't actually enter the body until the child is born. Okay. That's when, and essentially that is what you might construe as being downloaded. That's just terrible, world. And people thought I was twisted. I can tell you this, though. When I was first learning about dinosaurs, because I was a budding paleontologist at 6 years old, then I decided I didn't want to do that, or something got in the way. But they were always painted as being just gray things. They were some of the most colorful animals on the planet. Okay. When we take a look at this one, and do understand, this one I did not paint. Okay. This is one that is pre-painted. I'm in the middle of painting one that I'm going to actually get it done the colors they were. And rest assured, dinosaurs were extremely colorful. Take a look at, you look at birds, you look at reptiles, look at snakes. The more colorful they are, the more dangerous they usually are. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you, they ran one heck of a track meet, though. Worrell's just saying he doesn't know what their health habits were. Some of them were long distance runners. Some of them really got into the idea of being high jumpers. Can you picture the dinosaur Olympics? This is called going way off track, but it's not a bad idea. Thanks so much for joining us, Bones. Glad you could come. So what we're looking at here is a world that you have to, well, you don't have to, but it is time to really start looking at where your life is, what you're content with, and how you intend on changing your life. And absolutely, if you've got a question, doesn't matter what the field. Okay, well, that could have been said wrong. Doesn't matter what the field. Doesn't matter if we're in the same, if we're on a different topic. Throw it out there. Okay, because I will tell you, the questions that you have, somebody else probably has. And this is just the reality of it. Which is why I wonder if I've got it here and just didn't throw it out. Hopefully not. I had a whole list of topics I was looking at, and it looks like I went and scrambled myself badly. That's not it. This is all scrap paper. I'm a firm believer. If I'm just going to make notes, then scrap paper works just as well as anything else. That's the list. Okay, what do we got here? Because I really should get this organized to a degree. And I think, wait a minute, what's today? Today is Monday. So let's take a look at this. Because I want to start getting organized ahead of time. Today was just yesterday just threw me for a loop. So I figured, no, I'll just get this out in the open. But I think tomorrow I'm going to see what I can do about getting some stuff drawn up, which shouldn't be a problem. But what do you guys figure? Think we should talk about time travel tomorrow? About time travel, as in whether it's possible, how it goes about. Because I'm thinking, time travel is one of the easy ones to look at. And of course, I figure, okay, here's what we look at. Put my pen down. That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to have to bring a knife with me so I can write if I'm going to leave the pen behind. Okay, we are there. Tomorrow. Why not? So tomorrow being the 31st. And what the heck did I do that for? We will look at time travel tomorrow. And I think what I'm going to do with that is see what I can do about getting some rough sketches together for it. Because I will tell you, time travel, from everything I've seen, and I will do my best to explain it tomorrow in more detail, but time travel, you can go forward, but you cannot come back, which is great if you want to jump ahead and not deal with this world, but you might be walking into something a whole lot more comical or more problematic. We will deal with that, and we will deal with time travel tomorrow, and I'm just looking at March here, because amazingly enough, we are there. So on Wednesday, we're going to take a look at how to go about activating the third eye. Okay. And yes, I will be posting this so that people actually get word about the new ones. What I'm going to start doing here is actually getting I'm going to start getting a schedule down so that I can say, okay, the next, week sort of thing, here's what I've got coming up. If I can get that scheduled, then it saves me a lot of hassles. It also lets you guys know what to come in with. Okay. And by the way, Joe, I'm going to look a little bit more into the butterfly effect to see what they're saying as compared to what I'm already aware of. But like I said, that name tends to come from what I gather, comes from way back. You know, hey Kimberly, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, that whole concept of the butterfly effect comes from the idea of going back in time and what happens if you step on that one butterfly. How badly will it screw up society? Will it screw up the world? Well, I'm telling you, since you can't go back in the first place, butterfly effect kind of gets taken out of the equation. Hope your day has been rather productive there, Kimberly, or at least not overly stressful. But yeah, I've got my list here now that I found it again. Just about threw it out. So of course tonight's going to be fun because when I get done this, I go back to writing again because I really do desire to get these things finished. Oh, fantastic. Best of luck with it. And this is where I go, Kimberly, by all means. I mean, obviously you can't put websites in there. Okay. But by all means, let people know what you're working on as far as the fundraiser goes. Okay. And yeah, I know you go to other websites or you go to other channels and they go, oh, don't do that. Okay. The reality is, I don't want it flooded with advertisement, obviously, but you're working on something. You're here quite regularly. One of the benefits of my knowing who you are, and this is why I say I'll look at it on a case-by-case basis. But absolutely, let people know what you're working on. Maybe it'll come in. Maybe it'll generate a little for you. Okay. And like I said, I know that's a twisted way of doing things, but I haven't done things by the book. And you know, people tell me, look outside the box. I keep going, well, would you mind telling me where the box is? Oh, that is fantastic, Kimberly. Now, I do like, I mean, let's face it, pets are nothing but a four-legged fuzzy kid. You know, four-legged fuzzy kid, maybe it's a feathered kid, might be a scaly one, but pets are children. Ask any pet owner that actually cares about their pets, and you get pretty much the same thing. Okay. You know, like when I was still with my ex, at our worst, we had 5 cats, 3 dogs, and 2 rats, all of which were rescues. Okay. It got to the point where I had to stop taking her anywhere because she'd come across animals in the weirdest places. You know, she went out to the mailbox one day, middle of a snowstorm, goes out to check the mail. She comes back in with this cat that would have fit in the palm of your hand, just tiny. She comes back in, she looks at me, and she goes, what am I supposed to do now? I said, well, my suggestion would be give me the cat, and since you still got your boots on, go back out and get the mail, and hope you don't find another cat. You know, so, you know, where it comes to trying to help people with pets, you know, the thing I find with many people, and pet owners are notorious for this, the ones that actually like their pets, they will put their own life on hold, okay, in order to protect the animal, which is great. But I caution you, and this is meant with all the with all the integrity I can muster. You've got to take care of yourself before trying to take care of everybody else, the fuzzy ones included. Okay, because the reality is, if you don't take care of you, you've got a problem. Okay. Absolutely. Now, I'm hoping there, Kimberly, you know, and this is why I said I'm working on a couple of things, but I'm hoping that one that you're paying real close attention, because sometimes what will happen is fortunately, like I said, pet owners on the whole are really hard pressed because what they end up doing is they go, that cat or that dog or whatever, that pet is so much more important than me. I'm going to forego my health and take care of them. And unfortunately, that's got a bad habit of backfiring. You know, I mean, one of the oldest cats we had, we pulled her out from underneath a car. That she was hit and run. Pulled her out from under the car, took her back to the vet, and the vet says she's about 9 years old. Well, she was 24 when she died. So yeah, do we like cats? Yep. I used to have a bumper sticker that said, "The more people I meet, the more I like my cats." And the sad part is that's gotten worse. The only problem is I don't have cats. But no, you take a look at where your life is, and it really boils down to going, am I content with where it's sitting right now? And if not, what am I either willing or able to do to change it? Now, sometimes people get into a situation. Yeah, I will absolutely do that, Joe. I'm going to make whoop, did I? No. So I grab this funny thing here called a sheet of paper. Now, I don't on the whole research. What I'm looking for is just a bit of information regarding the way people see the butterfly effect. Because if it is as I presume it to be, as in based on the concept of if you go back in time and step on something, you'll run in a problem. Much as that is correct, Eris, it still creates the same sort of a problem. But I do agree with you. Organization is the way to make things get sorted around properly. I was gonna say, I'm hoping you have a farm. And I'm just going. We've got 6 cats, 3 large dogs, 2 pigs, and 2 chickens, and 2 goats, and a partridge in a pear tree. I'm hoping, but the world goes. All I have is an adventure dragon. Oh, guys, world, you're going to get a bang out of this one. I know you specifically will. This is the newest figure that just showed up for painting. You'll love this because you'll see the irony in it right away. Now, unfortunately, the arm is missing, and bear in mind, the arm broke off right away. The arm on this person is carrying a shield, okay? But take a look at this figure. Now, this is an adventuring character. Can you see a problem here? This is the newest character. They've got a cleric in a wheelchair with a mace and shield. Yeah, in a wheelchair. Now, I mean, I'm thinking here, okay, you got a shield in one hand, you got a mace in the other, and you're stuck in a wheelchair. How are you going to get out on the battlefield? Quick, nurse, push me out there and make sure you duck because that one's going to be nasty. Now, the other one that I got at the same time, at least this one has, move it over there so you can see it. At least this one's casting a spell, which is doable from a wheelchair. But I stumbled across that. I didn't buy it because I figured it was useful. I bought it because it was rather novel. Yeah, that works. World just says maybe he's a cleric of the Temple of Gimp. Or maybe he's a cleric from a cleric of Ilmadur, and he got a little overzealous. But this is where life gets really twisted on occasion. This is the other character that I picked up, and I've got to start painting him today. But this one is an excellent rendition for the main antagonist in the Yldrbacian Chronicles. And yeah, he's pretty much that way inclined. Move him over there, or move me over there. There we go. This is actually very much what we're looking at. Okay, and he'll get painted and used in the proper, frame. Yeah. Oh, that's bad. World, you are just terrible. You know, the real, that's just terrible. You really do have a twisted sense of humor. You know that, World. And I do mean that in all kindness. Of course, I'm one to talk about having a twisted sense of humor. I still find it comical watching, it's like I heard this joke once, right? What is the similarity between slinkies and stupid people? You know, I mean, it's a very important question. And when you think about it, I found out what the answer was. I'm going to leave you guys sit with that for half a minute and see what comes up. Yeah, the real catch there, and running any sort of a fundraiser, curiosity there, curiosity, Kimberly. Are you planning on turning this into a, so to speak, nonprofit organization? Okay. I will tell you, when I said I'm going to be building a healing center, I am. But I'm going to be keeping my fingers in the cookie jar all the way through it. Okay, perfect. Now the only caution I have, okay, do your own research. This is just what I found out when I looked into them. Number one, when you run a nonprofit organization, there's two problems right off the bat. One is energetic, and that is you're saying non-profit. Well, this is why I won't open a nonprofit organization. This is why the healing center I'm aiming to build and the network I'm looking to build is going to be a for-profit setup. Because the reality is the more money that is made, the more people can be helped. Okay, but that's not my biggest concern with it personally. If you get a board of directors in there, a board of directors, at least in Canada, the way they are set out. Okay, that puts you in the States. I know up here in Canada, okay, that if you've got a board of directors, the board can vote you out of your own out of your own company. I won't even take that chance. It's just not the way I operate. But I do wish you the best of luck with it, Kimberly. I absolutely wish you the best of luck with it. See, now there is a difference there. You can instead, if you can build something where you have a board of advisors, they've got no power to get rid of you, and you can fire them in a heartbeat. They don't have rights. They are advisors. They've got rights, all right. Treat them as you desire to be treated. Okay. This is why I say when I first said at the beginning of this particular stream that I am open to picking up a few, picking up moderators, right? And it was suggested by Nathan actually that I get one per 50 subscribers, just so that we've got somebody in the room at some point. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Kimberly, you do exactly the same thing I do. Like when I've got a little bit of spare money, I'll walk into a restaurant and I'll point at a table. Like I'll get seated and I'll tell the waitress, I'll point at a table and go, I'm picking up that guy's tab or that girl's tab or whatever, that table's tab. But I turn around and do it because 100% of the money that I spend and that I do that with goes to the people I'm trying to help. None of it goes to overhead. The moment you open a charity or something to that effect, you've got to keep tabs on the whole 9 yards. Okay, and you've got all the overhead. The best charity that I ran into, and I forget what the name was, only 30% of what was donated to them actually went to the charity. Okay. Now, I will tell you, Kimberly, and this is just for me personally, if you open a charity for animals, what I would end up doing is, because I will not give money to a charity. Okay. And the reason I won't is because the overhead kills it. But what I would do in a case like that is I do believe in supporting charities that are feeding the poor, or feeding the helpless, animals qualify as poor and helpless? I mean, animals are not helpless, but let's face it, they're going to have a heck of a time getting a job. Yeah, Kimberly says, I'm only on. I got no problem with the helping side. Like I said, as far as that goes. We could be in trouble. I remember a show called Dragonheart. Giving half a heart to somebody can be a problem. And mine doesn't work right anyway. Actually, it works fine in beats. It just stops periodically. But yes, we're on very much the same page. The big difference is you're somewhere down in the States and I'm up in Kelowna, BC, Canada. I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, the way I figure, and I've already told my family this, when I die, I don't care what you do with the body. Okay, I don't care if you use it for science, don't care if you feed it to the pigs, right? All I care about is decapitate me first. They've already diagnosed me dead more often than I care to count. Okay, I don't feel like waking up on an operating table with somebody removing something. I mean, this is just the reality of it. I came out to Michigan years and years ago. I was out there for the Experience or Speak conference, and that was a really enjoyable little setup. I don't travel much anymore, primarily because COVID got in the way, and I don't need the stress. And of course, now being unemployed is a bit of an interesting hiccup. I'll tell you, I think it was on World Show yesterday. He had some pictures of I think it was Bigfoot Capital, because in the photographs he had, Ozzy, how you doing? Glad you could get here. On the show yesterday's show on World Bigfoot, okay, was absolutely beautiful. They had some footage of the wooded area around them, and I kid you not, there was a massive number of Bigfoot in there. Fortunately, he was nice enough to point them all out. So I mean, like he identifies them all and says, here they are, because some are really difficult to see on a camera, at least for my eyes. But he had some really great shots there yesterday. So I mean, when you're looking at changing anything, like I will tell you this, Kimberly, you're looking at getting started small. Take the idea. I do strongly recommend that you have a name searched and researched, researched and locked in, because it does add a certain amount of respectability to it, of identifying, of individuality. Okay, but get it in point form what you're looking for. And the other thing, and this is something I did here. Where is it? This one. Like I said, a lot of the books I work with, a lot of the stuff, I'm in the process of striving to document. This little book here, Believe in Your Business and Follow Your Dreams. Okay, well, Believe in Your Business tells you some of the critical things to really look at. Now, you'll have to check the laws in your own area, but it gives you an idea of the steps that are necessary and some of the pitfalls that anybody starting a business out is going to have. Not the least of which is I believe I've included in this one. I wonder if I did. Expand 26. Just glancing through, I want to make sure that I actually remember to put something in it. Yep. I even tell you in this little booklet, and you'll see it's really big. Okay. In this, I even tell you how to know when to expand to a second outlet, when it is financially safe to do it. Okay, now bear in mind, running a business is simply another aspect of life. running your house is done the exact same way. Now, that being said, Kimberly, if you go, I'll give you the 2 spots. Where are we here? I need to get this little thing done. Right there. Okay, this, you can either do it this way. Where are we? Copy. This is the website for all of the books I've got available. Okay. Now, you can either go straight through the website, or this is the website itself. Or the other thing is I work with PayPal, and this is the email address that I use to get to PayPal. It's also the email address I use to get directly to me. Okay. This one here is how to get to me. Now, I'm just going to double check and because I want to make sure I give you solid information, not just a stab in the dark. And my mind goes in way too many places on occasion. So let us see what happens if we go. Yeah, I'm trying to read a keyboard with lots of reflection on it. Doesn't work well. Okay, let us go. Purchase today. Perfect. Now, here's the thing, Kimberly. If you go directly through PayPal, okay, because the website tells you a little bit about every one of the books I've got. But if you go directly through PayPal, that's my email address to get into PayPal. Okay, $20 through PayPal gets it in your hand. Okay, now the only thing I can do is tell you within 3 business days, from the time that the money comes in, within 3 business days, I do my best to get it into the mail. Once it's in the mail, can't do much with it. Oh, that's convenient. I always like I used to love when I get paid. Now I don't get paid. Mind you, I'm getting used to that idea. But yeah, the way I wrote these, you'll notice they're really, really tiny. The reason being, I couldn't see the point in writing the same thing out. So you've got 15 pages or 20 pages of one chapter that repeatedly says the same thing. From my standpoint, if you're looking to do something, get it done so anybody can understand it. The best way I heard it put, and this is where this neat little thing with the butterfly effect comes into play. The way I heard it put was, if you cannot explain it in simple terms, you don't know your stuff well enough. So I mean, the reason I write it down is because, quite frankly, I got asked so many times the same question, it ended up in a book. Now, right now, there are actually going to be in time 12 books in this series, the Believe in Your series. Believe in yourself, believe in your business. Okay, they're all going to be very small books. Okay, but the idea is, here's what you've got to do and here's why you don't want to do it. Okay, because I figured if we eliminate why you don't want to do it to start with, it takes that argument out of the equation. So I'm working on that one. I'm working on a number of different ones. Like I said, I've got 30 books in queue right now. Is that my 30? No. Watch this. I put it in the wrong pile again. That seems to be normal. I do hate when I do that. This is what I get for not moving from my seat very much. See, you find all sorts of new and exciting ways to completely scramble yourself. Just takes a little bit more effort on occasion. Those aren't it. Oh, that's the other stuff I was working on. That. I'm looking for my list of books I've got. But yeah, I worked it out the other day. I think I've got 31 now that I'm working on. You know, the reality is, when I can build my company to the point where the books are generating a simple, like, I've got to be selling a lot, to be honest. Yeah, apparently, Kimberly, like I told somebody, they asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm getting ready for early retirement. Well, what are you going to do with your spare time? I said, well, right now I've got 30 books I'm in the process of writing. And he goes, if you're writing 30 books simultaneously, he says, that's not called retirement. So I spend a lot of time in my office. Can't imagine why. But, the reality is, guys, in order to change your life now, it simply boils down to going, no longer content with my life the way it is. So I'm going to find a way to alter it. Now, with that in mind, we actually are past the 2 hour. Where are we? Yeah, we're just hitting the 6:30. I got to get used to that idea. I was going 2 hours, but it dawned on me today, 2 hours was going to shut me down before 6:30 was over. So I may be over 2 hours. Right now I am. But I am going to bring things to a close. That's excellent. I really do wish you all the best. And Kimberly, as you get it put together, this is one of the perks, what I call one of the perks in my room, is I'm quite willing, when you've got something working, absolutely get some information to me, and I will see what I can do about getting it up for you, which, by the way, works. But I'm going to bring this to a close. Thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing your time with me. I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday, so at 4:30. Okay. I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.